Welcome to US quarter dollar. This tiny one-dime coin from United States of America could be worth more than your monthly salary, and people still spend it. Stop ignoring old Roosevelt dimes. One small detail can turn 10 cents into big money. This dime looks ordinary, but collectors are paying insane prices for it. Most people drop this coin on the ground, not knowing it could be a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share. Tell us in the comments if you've ever found a rare Roosevelt dime. Thanks with love for watching Red Heart. Coin 1. Today we are diving deep into a coin that most people have held in their hands but almost no one truly understands, a simple-looking one-dime coin from the United States of America that quietly hides a powerful story, the 1966 Roosevelt one-dime with no mint mark. And if you think all dimes are the same, stay with me because this one changes everything. And what you are about to hear may completely change how you look at pocket change forever. At first glance, this dime looks ordinary, small, silver-colored, and easy to ignore, but that is exactly why it is so dangerous to overlook, because 1966 was a very special year in American coin history, a year when the U.S. Mint made decisions that created confusion, mystery, and opportunity for collectors today, and this coin was born right in the middle of that storm, making it far more interesting than people ever imagined. During this time period, mint marks were intentionally removed from coins, meaning no letter appears on this dime, and for many people that means nothing, but for collectors it means everything, because this no mint mark era makes it harder to track production, harder to identify origins, and more exciting when unusual examples appear, and that uncertainty is exactly where rarity begins to grow. What truly makes the 1966 Roosevelt dime special is not just its year, but the small hidden details that separate common coins from collector-grade treasures. Details that most people never check, never notice, and never understand, which is why valuable examples still slip through circulation even today, waiting for the right eyes to discover them. Collectors carefully study the strike quality on this dime, because weak strikes were common during this rushed production era. And when a sharply struck example appears, it immediately stands out. And that sharpness alone can push the coin into a completely different category of desirability that many casual collectors never even consider. Then there are the errors, and this is where things get truly exciting, because error coins from 1966 are some of the most talked about pieces among serious collectors, including off-center strikes, double impressions, clipped planchets, and misaligned dies, all of which can transform a simple dime into something collectors fight over at auctions. Another powerful factor is condition, because most of these dimes were heavily used, dropped, scratched, and worn down over decades, which means finding one in high condition today is far harder than people realize, and scarcity in condition often matters more than mintage numbers ever could. Some examples also show doubling in the lettering or date, not always obvious at first glance, but once seen under proper magnification, it becomes impossible to ignore. And this kind of subtle doubling is exactly the type of detail that keeps collectors awake at night searching rolls and collections with hope. The metal composition also plays a role in collector interest, because this dime represents a transition period in American coinage, and coins from transition eras always attract attention, curiosity, and long-term demand, especially when combined with unusual production characteristics like missing mint marks. What makes this coin truly fascinating is that many Americans unknowingly spent them for decades, never realizing that a small difference in strike, error, or preservation could separate a common dime from a highly collectible one, and that mystery is what keeps collectors hunting every single day. For coin lovers, this dime is not just metal, it is history in your hand, a snapshot of a changing mint system, economic pressure, and production challenges, all frozen into 10 cents of American heritage that still speaks loudly to those who listen closely. Serious collectors know that patience is rewarded, knowledge is power, and coins like the 1966 Roosevelt dime prove that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone who truly understands what they are holding. When it comes to real market value, ordinary circulated examples usually trade around a few dollars in the collector market, but high-grade uncirculated pieces can reach values in the tens of dollars, and confirmed error examples have sold at auction for amounts ranging from several $100s to well over $1,000 in words. If you enjoyed this deep dive into hidden American coin treasures, please subscribe, like, and share, and tell us in the comments if you have ever checked your dimes closely. Thanks with love for watching Red Heart. Coin 2. We are talking about a coin that most Americans have seen, touched, and spent without a second thought, yet this simple one-dime coin from the United States of America carries a hidden story that serious collectors quietly chase: the 1967 Roosevelt dime with no mint mark, a coin that proves small change can hold big secrets, and once you understand why this dime matters, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. 1967 was not a normal year. For American coinage, it was a time of pressure, shortages, and rushed production inside the U.S. Mint, and during this chaotic period, mint marks were completely removed to discourage hoarding, creating an entire generation of coins that feel mysterious even today, and that decision alone turned the 1967 Roosevelt dime into a puzzle collectors still love solving. At first glance, this dime looks ordinary: no mint mark, familiar design, nothing flashy, but that is exactly what makes it dangerous to ignore, because rarity is not always loud, sometimes it whispers, and coins from this era hide their value in details so small that only patient eyes ever notice them. Collectors focus heavily on strike quality for this dime, because weak strikes were extremely common during 1967, and when a sharply struck example appears with full torch lines and strong facial detail, it immediately separates itself from millions of others, creating a level of scarcity that most people never realize exists. Then come the errors, and this is where the story truly explodes, because era Roosevelt dimes from 1967 are among the most exciting modern discoveries, including off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and misaligned impressions, and these mistakes were not corrected quickly due to production speed, allowing rare errors to escape into circulation. Some collectors have also found doubling in the date or lettering, not always dramatic, but clear enough under magnification to raise eyebrows and auction interest, and these subtle variations are exactly the kind of things that separate casual collectors from serious hunters who know where real money hides. Condition plays an enormous role with this coin, because most 1967 dimes were heavily circulated, scratched, and worn down for decades, which means finding one today in high uncirculated condition is far harder than people assume, and scarcity in condition often matters more than the year itself. Another layer of collector interest comes from the historical transition this coin represents, a moment when American coinage was changing rapidly, blending old habits with new systems, and coins from transition periods have a way of becoming long-term favorites among collectors who understand history as much as metal. What makes this dime especially fascinating is that many valuable examples were never pulled from circulation early, meaning discoveries are still possible today, sitting quietly in jars, rolls, and old collections, waiting for someone with the right knowledge to recognize what others missed. For coin lovers, the 1967 Roosevelt dime is not just about money, it is about the thrill of discovery, the satisfaction of understanding hidden details, and the realization that value is often invisible until you truly learn how to look. Smart collectors know that coins like this reward patience, education, and careful inspection. And every time someone casually spends an old dime, another opportunity quietly disappears, making the remaining high-quality examples even more desirable. When it comes to real market value, most circulated 1967 Roosevelt dimes sell for only a small premium, but high-grade uncirculated examples can reach values in the tens of dollars, and confirmed error coins have achieved auction prices ranging from several $100s to over $1,000 in words. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden power of this small American coin, make sure to subscribe, like, and share, and tell us in the comments if you have ever checked your dimes closely. Thanks with love for watching Red Heart. Coin 3. We are uncovering a coin that many Americans remember spending without a second thought, yet collectors quietly search for every day: a one-dime coin from the United States of America that comes from one of the most historic years in modern American history, the 1976 Roosevelt dime with the D mint mark, a coin connected to celebration, pressure, and production changes that created surprises no one expected. 1976 was not just another year, it was America's bicentennial era, a time when pride, demand, and massive coin production pushed the U.S. Mint to its limits, and during this period millions of coins were struck quickly to meet public demand, creating the perfect environment for mistakes, variations, and overlooked rarities that collectors still chase decades later. At first glance, the 1976 D Roosevelt dime looks ordinary, familiar design, common date, and a small D mint mark, but that simplicity is exactly why valuable. Examples hide in plain sight, because rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes it is about what went wrong when no one was paying attention. Collectors pay close attention to strike quality on this dime, because rushed production often resulted in weak details, especially in the torch and lettering, and when a sharply struck example appears with strong definition and clean surfaces, it immediately stands out as something far less common than most people believe. Errors are where this coin truly becomes exciting, because 1976 D Roosevelt dimes are known for a range of collectible mistakes, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and die cracks, all of which slipped into circulation unnoticed at the time and now command serious attention among error specialists. Some examples also show unusual doubling in the lettering or date, subtle enough to escape casual observation but clear enough under magnification to raise collector interest, and these small visual changes are exactly what turn an everyday dime into a conversation-stopping discovery. Condition plays a massive role in the value of this coin, because most 1976 dimes were heavily circulated during a time of high public use, meaning scratches, bag marks, and wear are extremely common, and finding one today in high uncirculated condition is far more difficult than people assume. Another factor collectors love is the historical energy attached to this year. Because coins struck during nationally significant moments tend to attract long-term interest, and the 1976 dime carries the quiet weight of an era defined by celebration, transition, and enormous production pressure, what makes this coin especially fascinating is that valuable examples were never widely pulled from circulation, meaning discoveries are still possible today in rolls, jars, and inherited collections, waiting for someone patient enough to look closely instead of spending it instantly. For coin lovers, this dime represents more than money, it represents awareness, the idea that knowledge turns ordinary objects into extraordinary finds, and that the smallest coin in your hand might hold a story far bigger than its size suggests. Experienced collectors know that coins like the 1976 D Roosevelt dime reward careful inspection, patience, and understanding of mint history, and every overlooked detail adds another layer of excitement to the hunt. When it comes to real market value, most circulated 1976 D Roosevelt dimes trade for only a small premium, but high-grade uncirculated examples can sell for amounts reaching into the tens of dollars. And confirmed error coins have brought auction results ranging from several $100s to well over $1,000 in words. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden side of this historic American dime, please subscribe, like, and share, and tell us in the comments if you have ever checked your dimes closely. Thanks with love for watching Red Heart Coin. 4. We are uncovering a modern coin that most Americans still believe is ordinary pocket change, yet serious collectors know tells a very different story, a one-dime coin from the United States of America that proves rarity does not always come from old age, the 1991 Roosevelt dime with the P mint mark. A coin that quietly rewards those who understand what to look for and punishes those who underestimate modern coinage. When people hear 1991, they assume common, recent, and unimportant, but that assumption is exactly why valuable examples continue to be overlooked, because rarity in modern coins is no longer about mintage alone, it is about condition, precision, and mistakes that slipped through unnoticed during high-speed production at the Philadelphia Mint. The 1991 P. Roosevelt dime was struck during a period of massive output, when efficiency mattered more than perfection, and that environment created opportunities for subtle flaws, weak strikes, and unexpected errors that collectors today search for with magnification and patience, knowing that even modern coins can hide serious value. One of the biggest factors collectors examine is strike quality, because many 1991 dimes show softness in the torch detail or Roosevelt's hair, and when a sharply struck example appears with full bands and crisp features, it immediately separates itself from the crowd, becoming far scarcer than its mintage numbers suggest. Errors are where this coin truly gains collector attention, because 1991 P dimes are known to exist with off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and occasional misaligned dies, mistakes caused by worn or rushed equipment that allowed flawed coins to escape quality control and enter circulation unnoticed. Some collectors have also reported doubling in lettering or date elements, Not dramatic enough to catch the untrained eye, but clear under magnification, and these subtle varieties are exactly the kind of discoveries that excite advanced collectors who understand that modern errors are often rarer than classic ones. Condition plays an enormous role with this coin, because most 1991 dimes were heavily circulated, stacked, counted, and spent during a time when few people saved modern coins. Which means high-grade uncirculated examples today are far scarcer than many people realize. Another layer of interest comes from the fact that this coin represents a mature stage of modern U.S. coinage, where changes are small, mistakes are fewer, and survival in top condition becomes the true measure of rarity, making pristine examples far more desirable than worn ones. What makes the 1991 P. Roosevelt dime especially fascinating is that it is still being discovered, not in museums, but in rolls, old jars, and inherited collections, where people never thought to look closely, allowing collectors today to experience the thrill of finding value where others see nothing. For coin lovers, this dime teaches an important lesson, that knowledge transforms ordinary objects into hidden treasures, and that even coins from your lifetime can hold stories, scarcity, and collector demand if you know how to read the details. Experienced collectors understand that modern rarity is quiet, patient, and precise, and coins like this reward those who slow down, inspect carefully, and respect the history hiding in plain sight. When it comes to real market value, most circulated 1991 P. Roosevelt dimes are worth only a modest premium, but high-grade uncirculated examples can sell for amounts reaching into the tens of dollars, and confirmed error coins have achieved auction prices ranging from several $100s to over $1,000. In words that if you enjoyed discovering how modern pocket change can still surprise collectors, please subscribe, like, and share, and tell us in the comments if you have ever checked your dimes closely. Thanks with love for watching Red Heart. Coin 5. We are uncovering a coin that almost everyone remembers spending without a second thought, yet collectors now look at very differently. A small one-dime coin from the United States of America that proves modern pocket change can still hide serious surprises. The 1999 Roosevelt dime with the P mint mark, a coin that quietly slipped through circulation while carrying details many people never knew to check. Most people believe coins from the 1990s are too new to matter, but that belief is exactly why valuable modern coins continue to be overlooked, because rarity in modern coinage is no longer about age, it is about precision, condition, and mistakes made during extremely high-speed minting, and 1999 was a year of intense production pressure at the Philadelphia Mint. During this period, the Mint was producing enormous quantities of coins to meet public demand, and when speed increases, perfection often decreases, creating small flaws that escape notice at the time but become highly desirable decades later, turning an ordinary dime into a serious collector target. At first glance, the 1999 P. Roosevelt dime looks completely normal, familiar design, common date, nothing flashy, but that simplicity is what allows rare examples to hide in plain sight, because collectors know that valuable coins do not always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they wait quietly for the right eyes to notice. One of the most important factors collectors examine on this dime is strike quality, because many examples show softness in Roosevelt's hair, the lettering, or the torch detail, and when a sharply struck piece appears with crisp lines and clean surfaces, it immediately becomes far scarcer than mintage numbers suggest. Errors are where this coin truly becomes exciting, because 1999 P dimes are known to exist with off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and occasional misaligned dies, all caused by worn equipment and rushed production, and these errors slipped into circulation unnoticed at the time. Some collectors have also identified subtle doubling in the date or lettering, not dramatic enough for casual eyes, but clear under magnification, and these kinds of varieties are exactly what advanced collectors search for, because modern double details are often far rarer than classic ones. Condition plays a massive role in the value of this coin, because most 1999 dimes were immediately spent, counted by machines, stacked in bags, and circulated heavily, meaning finding one today in high uncirculated condition is far more difficult than most people assume. Another layer of collector interest comes from the fact that this dime represents a mature stage of modern U.S. coinage, where changes are subtle and survival in top condition becomes the true measure of rarity, making pristine examples far more desirable than worn ones. What makes the 1990 9p Roosevelt dime. Especially fascinating is that valuable examples are still being discovered today, not in museums, but in bank rolls, old jars, and inherited collections, where people never thought modern coins were worth examining closely. For coin lovers, this dime delivers an important message, that knowledge creates opportunity, and that even coins from your lifetime can carry hidden value if you understand what to look for and take the time to inspect carefully. Experienced collectors know that modern rarity rewards patience, attention to detail, and curiosity, and every time someone spends a coin without looking, another potential discovery disappears forever. When it comes to real market value, most circulated 1999p Roosevelt dimes sell for only a small premium, but high-grade uncirculated examples can reach values in the tens of dollars. And confirmed error coins have achieved auction prices ranging from several $100s to over $1,000. In words. If you enjoyed learning how modern pocket change can still surprise collectors, please subscribe, like, and share, and tell us in the comments if you have ever checked your dimes closely. Thanks with love for watching.